Hey, I am Ryan, and we are back with another wonderful episode, all talking about building that perfect playbook to grow your business. And excited to have another wonderful guest, all about sales, advertising, marketing, operations, you name it. Sam is with us. Sam, thank you for being here. And I'm going to jump right into a hard hitting question here. If you were down to your last $5,000 and you needed to grow and generate revenue, where are you going to spend it? What are you going to do? Are you going to advertise, market, prospect? What are the activities it would take to turn that $5,000 into a positive ROI?
I would use that $5,000. Well, in order, I would say prospecting, but let's define that super quickly. Most people think they need to put it into marketing or advertising or those types of things. The problem is both of those are very reactionary, and we're waiting for someone to come to us. I would 100% take that money and put it into prospecting efforts. Prospecting is going and finding them and being proactive instead of reactive in our business. In fact, even on my whiteboard here next to me, this lives here. It says 90% right here on my whiteboard, because a founder and a business growth, anyone in the sales aspect of anything, in fact, until a business hits $1 million in revenue annually, 90% of that founder's time should be spent prospecting. Period. Hard stop. End of story. So prospecting is everything. Let's just go find the people to get in front of. Most people, they get down to that last $5,000 and they're mad about the results they're not getting for the work they're not doing.
So let's get an exact example of what do you do with the $5,000 to help you prospect to drive those new customers?
Depends on the vertical, of course, and what the desired client is. If we're B2B or we're B2C, could be very different.
Mm-hmm.
For example, I'll just use my company, a coaching company, a training company. I would use that $5,000 to start register for a couple of events and go to and get in front of people, go places where my ideal best fit client is. That could be some travel. At the end of the day, though, the best prospecting doesn't cost anything. And that's the best part about it. I use the $5,000 as my runway to keep the lights on while I'm prospecting. The best thing is literally just pick up the phone and start calling people. It's like, this is the work nobody wants to do, but it's also the best return because it doesn't cost anything to do it. We just have to do the work. That's step one. If you forced me to use the money, I might run some type of direct targeted Facebook, something like that.
Yeah.
But it's more about the effort than it is actually using funds to do it.
So I know your background is like HVAC, and we have a lot of home service pros that are customers of ours and listen to this show. So if you were kind of a home service
Mm-hmm.
professional and you needed to drive in new customers direct to consumers,
Yeah.
what are some of your direct activity for prospecting?
Yeah, that's the sweet spot. If you're a home service company, knock the doors is literally the highest leverage activity. Is every single time you have an appointment, knock the neighbors' doors, go across the street, knock their doors.
Mm.
If you at that place where you have to drive clients, who do you know? Who do you get in front of? If your entire neighborhood, the street that you live on, if every single person on that street doesn't know what you do, if you're the business owner, shame on you. Because they should. Your neighbors should know what you do. Start in your own neighborhood. Create a culture inside your organization of every appointment show up to introduce yourself to everyone around. Asking for referrals is the second step. And then number three, where I would actually use some funds like that is in my referral program and into almost zero companies I've ever worked with. And I've worked with dozens and dozens in the last 7 years. Almost no one has a robust or any level of follow-up program. You have to start doing follow-up. We follow up until. And so those three things would literally double a business overnight if you actually did those activities and it became part of a culture.
Let's talk about referral side of things. How often are you seeing companies miss that opportunity to ask for referrals from their current customer base?
10 out of 10.
Really?
Yeah, nobody asks for referrals. If they do, it's maybe once, and it's usually a very lame way they do it.
Yeah, what is the right way to ask for a referral to get in front of
Yeah, so
your
having a
customers?
system for one, which means being structured, is crucial. So, a well-designed referral system is going to ask for a referral 6 times through your customer journey. Now, I know that sounds like a lot, but think about this. We can have a line in our initial maybe text and email confirmation. And then the next step, we're starting to plant the seed, right? So asking for a referral doesn't have to always be a direct ask. It can sound something like maybe in our CSR intake, starting with, "Oh, this is awesome. I see you're a new client. Who referred you to us?" As the first question that plants the seed that, hey, we get referrals. The way to ask and actually get referrals is, say, in an in-home appointment, it's a two-part. It's you've got to set it up properly, and then it's just a natural thing that happens. And so at the beginning, it's just like, hey, Ryan, thanks for having me out. It's my goal today to provide you 5-star service. And if any time throughout this process I don't provide that, please let me know. I want to course correct. I want to make sure that you're receiving that. And at the end, once you've received that 5-star service, would it be okay if I asked you for a review and a referral? And the people will always say yes, because you just put yourself on the hook to provide 5-star service. And then once you do that, the law of reciprocity kicks in. And then at the end, how was your experience today? Were we able to provide you that 5-star service? Yes. Oh, that's great. Awesome. Perfect. Well, remember I asked you earlier if once we did that, if I could ask you for a review and a referral. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, great. Well, perfect. Well, go ahead and grab your phone. Let's go ahead and do the review part right now. And who do you know, your friends and family, who do you know that we can help? Now that you have experienced our process and how great it is and how smooth and easy it was, who do you know?
Yeah, I love that. And I think it's this simple question. I think we get hung up on the compensation side of it. I know a lot of companies will spend a lot of time spinning their wheels thinking about, all right, if they give me 3 referrals, do I give them a free service or do I give them a free widget in exchange for 5 names? Or, what is your process around that? Do we get too caught up on that, or is that actually the right way of going about it?
I would say that yes, we absolutely get too lost in the weeds and we just don't do it. It doesn't have to be polished or beautiful. It just has
Yeah.
to be an ask. I love giving gifts and giving gratitude pieces. Like, here's your $50 gift card. Go have dinner. Thank you for the referral. But we don't lead with that because there's a psychology piece where people are resistant to make money off of their friends and family. And so when we lead with that, that turns half the people off of,
Mm,
why would I pass this referral? But when we ask for, who do you know that we can help? Because Ryan, really my greatest fear is your friends and family get taken advantage of in one of two ways. Either, some company comes in and dramatically overcharges them for no apparent reason, or, they go with somebody, maybe they save a few bucks on the front end, but they cut some corners, they leave safeties out, and it causes problems down the road and maybe some health issues, and worst case scenario, it could be worse than that. So we don't want that to happen to your friends and family. When we approach it with an act as a service to them, then once they do give us a referral, oh, by the way, thank you, here's our gift of thanks, and then give that. Now there's no weirdness about making money off of people.
right.
And at the same time, now they go ding, ding, ding. I can send some more referrals. And now then the money conversation can come in. If it's gift cards to Starbucks or whatever, it doesn't matter. But then that becomes a relevant part of the conversation. But we don't want to lead with that.
So we're assuming we've got a lot of existing clients, that they're in our pipeline. We've worked with them. We've created great service, but we haven't done the 5 stars review referral
Mhm.
request yet. If I wanted to start today and go back through my existing book of business to generate some referrals, what's the right way to do that?
Oh man, that's so simple. And again, this is doing the work that most people resist doing, which is happy calls. I love happy calls. And happy calls does not mean it has to be the freshest install on the planet. I was working with a company recently and I had them call through the last 8 months worth of projects. And what happened out of that, where they got, I want to say we got like 32 reviews, brand new reviews from the last 8 months of projects that nobody had asked them. And they said, oh my gosh, of course I'll leave you a review. Nobody asked me before. And out of that, there was right around 4 or 5 referrals that came from one person spending a day and a half calling through the last 8 months of projects.
Sam, I love that idea. What's that conversation look like? What's the language someone could pick up the phone and use today?
Yeah. Implement this right away. It's like, ring, ring. Hey, Ryan. Hey, it's Sam with Close It Now HVAC. We'll say it's been a couple months since we did your project. we believe in relationship. I want to stay in touch with you here. What have you liked best about what you've experienced since we did that project for you?
Yeah, it's been great. I no problems. I can't even think of a problem.
Oh, I love to hear that. Thank you so much. Yeah, so we love to hear those types of things. Did you have a chance to leave a review when we did your project before?
No, I don't think I did.
Okay, gotcha. Since you have had such a good experience, love to maybe actually thank you for leaving us a review. Thank you for being a great client. I know we've got you scheduled for some for some maintenance coming up here, some regular checkup on your system, but just grateful for that. And so I'd love if you went to Google and left us a review. At the same time, did anyone ever talk to you about our referral program that we have?
No, I don't think I heard about that.
Well, I'll tell you what. I apologize because that's part of our process. One of the things that because as you've seen the work we do, and so many of our clients come from referrals, is we have a really cool referral program. So I'm curious, who do you know that we could help? Friends, family, anybody? Because we don't want them to get taken advantage of with those overpriced companies, or even worse, have a company come in and cut a bunch of corners and cause a health risk for them.
Sam, I love this role play, and I think it's super simple. I love your approach to it because you don't come across as pushy. You're asking questions. You're being a little bit apologetic in tone by apologizing for not having asked for the referral in the past, or the review. So it's easy to, as a consumer, I think, engage with that, as opposed to, I
Mhm.
think, a lot of service professionals are very, I'll call it, very candid personalities.
Yeah.
And that
Hmm.
can be a little bit, I put up my blockers pretty quickly. Like, oh, you just want something from me, so that's why you're calling me back.
The main thing to remember, and I'm such an advocate for this, is for most home service companies, the key word is service. It's a service industry, and we've forgotten that.
Mm,
So we have to remember that at the beginning. We have to remember that we're here to serve. And when we do that, service at the highest level looks like, how can I help? And so when we remember that, and that's the lens that we see everything through, what that does, it really changes the dynamic of every conversation. And when we're asking for reviews and referrals, the main thing that I want to emphasize to everybody is it doesn't really matter the words you say, because every time the studies are done on consumers, they want to give referrals,
mm.
but nobody ever asks for them. Literally don't ask for referrals. A great example is my business partner. We've been talking to a company, HVAC and plumbing company that's actually near him, and we literally met the owner and had a conversation with him about some of these things. And it was 2 days later, he sends me this picture. One of this guy's vans is 2 doors down from his house. And my business partner, he has needed a plumber for the last year and a half, but he's just been busy and hasn't quite made the call. And he literally sent that picture to the owner, said, remember what we talked about knocking on the neighbors' doors? If he knocked on my door right now, I would have him do the work because it still needs done. I just haven't wanted to go through the effort of picking up the phone.
Yeah.
So much of this is, it costs nothing but a couple minutes. But remember, you don't have to have the perfect words. Homeowners don't care. We have to have this perfect scripting for people in the industry so we feel like we can go do it. But at the end of the day, they don't really care. They just care that you did it.
Yeah.
Ask for the referral, ask for a review, go introduce yourself to somebody you've never met before.
For me, a couple of things that I really love that you said is the power of remembering you're a service company. That's the kind of foundation. And so being a home service professional or home service pro, I think that's an easy barrier to overcome. It says, as a home service professional company, we really aim to be the highest standard professionalism of serving you. And because of that, we'd like to check in with you quarterly, if that's okay, just to make sure the work that we did held up
Yeah,
on our end.
absolutely.
And while we're at it, we'd love to earn your consideration for a review. Easy way to get your foot in the door for them to be thoughtful and be thinking of you.
Something you said there, and for everybody listening, I 100% agree, Ryan. The caveat is, if you have an ask like that in a conversation with somebody and say, we'd love to check in with you quarterly, you better do it. because you just put yourself on the hook. Because when you actually follow through on something like that, then you will earn so many trust points in that homeowner's mind. However, if you say, Ryan, we'd love to check in with you quarterly, but you never call them back and you actually don't do it, you've destroyed any trust points that you ever had. So that's the caveat. If you have an ask like that, actually follow through and be a person of integrity and do what you said you were going to do. That is everything in this type of industry.
Yeah, 100% agree. I was just going to add that you mentioned consumers really like to have someone they can refer. At the surface level, I was like, I don't know if I believe that 100%, but then I kind of reflect in, my own community of Facebook groups that I engage with. It's amazing how many people go to Facebook groups to ask for a referral.
Yeah.
I need a plumber. I need this. Hey, looking for my pool to get cleaned, or I'm looking for this. And it's amazing to me how quick and thorough that comment section becomes. And it's not a lot of people pitching their own side hustle. It's a lot of people saying, oh, I loved Joe over at Joe's Plumbing, or I loved Frank over at Frank's HVAC. It's incredible how quick they are to recommend. And I think a lot of times their referral might not be in the moment, but it could be in the future moments when they're scrolling through the death scroll on Facebook groups and people are asking. And the fact that these Facebook groups start to create a point system where you actually get points based on high quality comments or engagement, and you become a top contributor or rising contributor, and that gamifies it, and people want to get engaged.
Yep.
And having someone they know, like, and trust gives them that permission to befriend a neighbor and share your information. So I think that's a really, really wise. We have a client of ours who told me one of the he's posting jobs left and right. He's growing quite a bit for a service company. And I said, what was kind of his secret to success? And one of my favorite answers so far was not, oh, the best Facebook ads, or I'm running the great LSA ads, or whatever it is. It's, I created brand ambassadors in every local community Facebook group possible.
Yep.
And I send them shirts, I send them hats, I send them, whatever it is, like low cost stuff, but on a regular basis, and thank them. Hey, thanks for being a brand ambassador in your community. And he doesn't really measure it, so to speak, on like, you sent me 6 referrals or not, but just the pure gradual overwhelming volume of now inbound referral phone calls. Hey, I heard about you on this Facebook group, Nextdoor app group, or whatever it is, all because he created local ambassadors. And he would ask them, you have been such a great customer, and I hope we have been a great supplier for you. Would you be willing to be one of our ambassadors in this community? And that ask has been so much more powerful than just even saying, will you refer me one more client?
Absolutely.
There's something powerful to be asked to be an ambassador. It's like, will you be on my board for my nonprofit? Who says no to that, right? There's no money or compensation involved, but people just want to be involved and feel like they're giving back. So I really like it. Let's jump over to a couple other topics here. Sure. You talk a lot about like the psychology behind what attracts or pushes clients away. What's the number one thing businesses do that kind of repels people who they're trying to reach?
This is definitely a marketing and advertising, how to write copy or messaging conversation.
Right.
The biggest piece that most companies miss is we focus on the thing and not on what is the pain point and what's the outcome. People don't care that you have a call now, it's $1,000 off. People really, really don't care. Nobody woke up this morning and said, man, let's look for the best deal because I sure want to buy an HVAC system or a plumbing system or water treatment or a roof today. They woke up and went, I've got this problem. God, it's uncomfortable. Or, oh my gosh, we have to take care of this. And then they hit the searches and they started their process. But all they care about is the desired outcome. And then this carries through to the way that we communicate directly in our interactions with homeowners. So many people will, what I call, just read the spec sheet. They only focus on, hey, what's wrong? Great. Here's the solution. Here's how we fix it, or here's the thing to replace it. Here's how much it is. Do you want that? And if that's the case, you might as well be standing at the counter at Lowe's or Home Depot, because you're just taking an order. That is not a customer experience. And so we have to think about the customer experience. And honestly, I'm glad you asked this question because I really boiled it down to one simple mantra. If you run your business and all of your communication through this lens of my job is to understand the human first, their problem second, and their problem is not what's broken or what's wrong, it's what they're experiencing because of the thing that's broken or wrong. So my job is to understand the human first, their problem second, and the solution third. If we follow that order, everything starts to smooth out and take care of itself.
I like the psychology of that, and I want to kind of go through this a little bit for slower people like me out there, because
I'm
I
flying through it
think
pretty
the
quick.
psychology of messaging your service or product the right way can truly attract not only customers but the right
Mhm.
customers. But if you focus on the wrong messaging, it really detracts the great customers and attracts the wrong customers.
I can give you a super quick example that'll really land this plane for this idea.
Perfect.
And it'll be dual purpose because it'll show somebody how to actually what to say at a door
Yeah,
when they knock on your neighbor's doors. So if I knocked on your door next door to maybe a sales appointment or a project I've got going on, I'm going to knock on your door and I'm going to say, "Hey, my name is Sam. I just wanted to take a quick second to introduce myself. We're working next door. Here's a couple cards. If anything blows into your yard or people park in the wrong place, please let me know. We'll take care of it immediately." And that's it. That's the whole reason I knocked on your door. But the very next question that always comes out of that homeowner's mouth is, "Oh, what are you doing over there?" So we'll take both paths. The wrong path is exactly what we're talking about. If you said, "Oh, we're replacing their water heater,"
right.
"Oh, we're changing their air conditioner," that's the wrong path. The right path is, "Well, what are you doing over there?" And then we say something like, "Oh, well, you know how most of the houses in this neighborhood have that one room in the corner of the house that's always hotter than the rest in the summer? We're fixing that for them." Or you know how all these houses are all about the same age and all the a lot of water heat. We've been getting a lot of calls for the water heater starting to go. Theirs was going. We're taking care of that for them because they were tired of only having 10 minutes of hot water in their shower. So see, we called out the pain point, and then that homeowner goes, because the houses are all built the same right next to each other. That homeowner goes, "I've got that. Can you look at mine?"
Exactly.
It's the same thing, but it's different messaging around it.
Back in my day of digital marketing, we would call that our problem, pain, agitation, solution.
Hmm.
So we would declare what the problem is. The problem is the room isn't staying hot or too hot or whatever. I'm in Arizona, so every room's too hot.
It was all too hot.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, and
December 25th. It's too hot. No
that's the
cool card.
problem, right? The pain is we're always sweaty in that room, or it's uncomfortable, and no one wants to use that room the right way. We agitate a little bit more. You've probably felt that in the past. I know how that goes. The solution is we're increasing our insulation and replacing XYZ.
Hmm.
And now all of a sudden they can visualize the solution to their problem that they're also
Hmm.
experiencing. And so I love that. And I think that another great example of that is we had our water heater recently replaced. And I feel like it was because of the advertising was so great. It wasn't, do you have an old water heater that needs to be replaced? Because everyone's got that.
Of course.
Instead, it was, are you looking for a water heater that can declutter your space, give you instant hot water for an unlimited amount of showers?
Yeah.
It's
Never
like,
runs out.
I hadn't thought of that. Well, here is an instant, water heater
Hmm.
as opposed to the big ugly, tank that's sitting in your garage. And so for me, that was really compelling. Is
Hmm.
I hate clutter. I wanted to clean things up, but also we have guests that come over, and my stinking water heater goes out after a
Hmm.
couple of showers, and then I'm like, oh, sorry, that's embarrassing. You got to
Yeah.
wait till you can get a hot shower because it's out. So they hit that pain point so well with a value prop. It almost didn't, to your point, I didn't care if I was saving $500 or what the discount was. It was solving a problem. It was a real problem with a real solution around it. So I really like that a lot. Do you see that in sales a lot? What's some of the sales training that you do around that kind of solution on the
Hmm.
backside of a problem and pain point?
That's everything. Um, every stitch of the sales training that I do, I call it the benefit lens.
Mm.
If we're not passing it through what is the true benefit of for the homeowner, and that's how we have to communicate. So there's three phases to the benefit. You've got the what, which is the thing. You've got the how it works, and then you've got how they're going to experience the benefit. Most people think the benefit is how it works. We'll take an air cleaner, for example. Let's say we do some air filtration in a home. And the first pass is, tell me about this air cleaner. And people will go, it's 4 inches versus 1 inch. And when you spread this out, it's this big surface area. Okay. I was like, okay, we just told me what it is. Now give me the benefit. Then they'll go, oh, well, so what it does, it takes out 99.9% of viruses and dust and pollens. I was like, okay, well, you just told me what it does, but you still didn't tell me the benefit. How is it going to affect my life? And then we start to get it like, oh, so what this means for you are a couple of expressions there. So earlier you were telling me how every single time the hay fever season comes around, it really affects you. When you come home, this is going to help turn your home into a sanctuary away from that, so you can get a little bit of reprieve from it. Now we're speaking in terms of a benefit versus just what it is or what it does. And so if we don't have that piece into it, no one has an emotional connection, because most people don't have the ability to, they don't know what our stuff does. They don't have the ability to connect those dots in their mind. So then they're just stuck with, okay, well, it sounds like a cool thing. But the second we make it real to them and how it will affect and change their life, now we can have a conversation that's compelling.
I think, Sam, you're in a really interesting time right now. We have AI that can answer everything for us. We have reps who want to do the least amount of work possible.
Mm-hmm.
We have it's not just my opinion, it's conversations I have on the daily with my customers, but an entitled generation.
Mm-hmm.
What's fascinating to me is the amount of opportunity, though, that is missed because we're not asking the right questions. And
Mm-hmm.
you're providing a solution to say there's an art to sales, there's an art to
Mm-hmm.
driving additional revenue to your business that's right in front of you. So,
Yeah.
as we wrap up here, Sam, would you drop us a little golden nugget here? But what is the number one thing that any small business owner out there should do to train their sales rep to help them drive more revenue effectively?
First of all, it's personal growth. Such a massive believer. Sales is not the performance of the hour or the hour and a half that you're in the house. It's the overflow of your life. And how you do anything is how you do everything. So, integrity and becoming someone worth buying from is the foundation for it all. The biggest question a sales trainer ever gets is, "Hey, I need to help handling objections," and then they all get frustrated when I say, "Okay, well, let's go back to the beginning. If there was one piece to work on that's going to get the most immediate results, is the first 5 minutes of an appointment."
Yeah.
What I'm not talking about is, did I park okay? Is my van parked okay? And do you mind if I put these floor savers on? What I am talking about is what pieces need to be in the conversation at the beginning, and how we have to, we've got to set a correct container. We have to set correct expectations, and we have to become the leader in the appointment, because we have to learn how to create a safe, comfortable environment that the homeowners will feel comfortable to make a buying decision, because people do not buy because they're more educated. They buy when they feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can establish that in the first 5 minutes, the entire rest of the appointment goes smoother, and numbers immediately start to drive north.
Oh, fantastic. I love that insight, Sam. Thank you so much for joining us today in the podcast. I think it's a good reminder
Yeah.
for everyone, just the art and power of being intentional about kind of our sales, our process, our language, even the
Mm-hmm.
extra effort. But before I close this out,
Mm-hmm.
tell me just a little bit about like who are some of your clients, and we get asked a fair amount just for
Mm-hmm.
random business advice and tips, but I'd love to talk about sales training. Tell me a little bit
Yeah.
about kind of your process, who the right customer is, and that would be great.
Yeah. So good question. So I've got several different programs for different size organizations. My clients are typically the ones that are tired of the same junk that's been around for 20 years. The pushy makes you feel gross to say this type of sales training. And so my process is very, as you heard, the number of questions, very permission based. We're not pushing anything when you create that environment. So it's all integrity focused. I've helped everywhere from really small companies, owner operators, to 30 and $50 million a year companies.
Hmm.
So I do both in-person sales training for on-site as well as virtual. Every time I step foot on site, revenue goes up usually a minimum of 30%. They get a lift of that type of number.
That's great.
So everything from, I was in Raleigh at a $30 million a year company, and their top guy was doing $4 million a year, but his average ticket was $8,900. And
Hmm.
after I was there, it went to 16,000, and has stayed there for 2.5 years now.
Wow.
The number of stories of I was about to get fired, and now I'm number one in my company after 3 months of coaching. Just the list is longer than we have time for.
Yeah.
So that's the type of results we typically see. But as far as the companies, home services, HVAC, plumbing, electrical, roofing, windows, garage, it really is it's a universal conversation at this point. And so, in fact, we just enrolled a company in New Jersey that does bathroom remodeling.
Hmm.
And so it's really I've had multiple plumbers right now in my client list, as well as some different remodeling companies of all things, it was initially a surprise, but it's
Yeah.
the same conversation. I've got a whole component for revenue In fact, I'd love to set up a meeting with you and my business partner, because we could really use someone that does what you do. We're launching in July a group program for smaller to mid-sized companies to focus on revenue growth and scaling, but we're doing it in a way we're going to show them immediately how to reclaim so much that they're overspending and lost revenue that should have gone to the bottom line in the first 30 to 60 days, that
Hmm.
it will 100% cost justify the cost of the program, and then it's all going to be lift from there.
Yeah.
And so our goal is to really just help as many people as possible. So closeitnow.net is the website. So you can go there. There's a form you can fill out to be in touch with me, or email me directly, sam@closeitnow.net. Also have a Facebook group that's just under Close It Now, and go listen to the podcast. I've almost 300 episodes now, and this month is a 7-year anniversary of the podcast, which is listened to in over 70 countries around the world now. So every single episode, I make a very serious point to give an actionable item every episode you can immediately use. And so it's Close It Now anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Fantastic. Thank you, Sam, for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on today.